Hello, good evening and welcome to News360 live from our studio here at Desanwe Kanda, Accra. I am Martin Aseidu Dartey.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. Coming up in the bulletin this evening.
News360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Minority in Parliament storms Economic and Organized Crime Office EOCO to demand a review of the 50 million CD bail condition for detained Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Dartey and Ayisha, also known as Chairman Wontumi.
Latest survey by the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, reveals a significant proportion of Ghanaians want the free senior high school cost build-up to be shared by government and parents.
Also, Health Minister Kwabena Mintah-Kando re-echoes the commitment of government to win the fight against opioid abuse among Ghanaian youth.
Later in business, Postal and Courier Service Regulatory Commission warns that individuals and businesses operating without a valid license could face prosecution.
And in business, news from elsewhere, a cholera outbreak in Sudan's Khartoum has killed at least 70 people in 2 days.
It's been a very busy news day. You want to get the details of the stories we have for you this evening. Let's also hear from you on what you think of the stories.
We're starting off with a very obvious one. Minority members on Thursday staged a walkout from Parliament to protest the continuous detention of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Dartey and Ayisha. But before the walkouts, the minority leader, Alexander Penyomarkin, asked the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to immediately revoke or vary the 50 million CD bail granted the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Dartey and Ayisha, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. According to him, the bail condition is just to punish Wontumi, and if the situation persists, the caucus may be forced to absent themselves from parliamentary proceedings.
Are you contributing to the statement, or what are you doing?
Mr. Speaker, I signaled you on notice that I'm raising a matter of national importance. That has to do, respectfully, with the arrest of Mr. Ayisha.
Bro, I always maintain that when a procedure is set down for a right to be exercised, you must follow the procedure in exercising the rights.
The minority leader first day on the floor since the House resumed on Tuesday. There was near drama as the first Deputy Speaker Bernard Ahiafo, who was in the chair, drew the minority leader's attention to Order 93 and 67 of Parliament's standing orders.
Mr. Speaker,
do what is needed first.
Mr. Speaker,
and when you do not want to do what is needed first, I also don't want you to be captured by the hazard.
Very well.
So I have accordingly ruled you out of order with due respect.
Very well. Mr. Speaker.
The Speaker finally granted him leave to raise his concerns. Penyomarkin stressed the need for the rule of law to be enforced.
EOCO cannot arrogate the power of demanding justification at the inquiry level. And then you make the bail condition so onerous. It is clear that this is being used to punish him. The rule of law must be followed, due process must be followed.
He wants EOCO to revoke the 50 million cedis bail condition slapped on Wontumi, or his side would protest.
EOCO, without delay, must revoke and vary that onerous bail condition. The man is still in the hospital. You are demanding 50 million worth of property. Yesterday, when one surety got there, they now said that the person to go and do inspection has closed. It's not available. You go there at 10 o'clock, they say it's not available. Mr. Speaker, we should not do this to ourselves until EOCO is able to do the right thing. We, the MPP side, however our numbers, will protest by absenting ourselves from proceedings of this house and join him. We are all going to sleep there with him, and we are not going to ask for any property. We don't have 50 million worth of properties. Where is he going to get it from? They'll go and bring landed documents.
After the submission, the First Deputy Speaker gave his ruling.
Having regard to the constitutional principle, the supreme law of the land, above and beyond which no further law exists, what then is expected of Parliament? I believe this is a matter that can adequately be addressed by the judiciary. For me, if a decision of an institution can be challenged at the court, if a security agency poses a bail condition that you feel that the bail condition is harsh, I do not think Parliament will have the authority to call for a review of that particular decision.
The minority then walked out and the House subsequently adjourned sitting. Evelyn Tinkma, TV3 News, Parliament House.
So many have been asking what exactly are the reasons why Chairman Wontumi has been detained. Well, Deputy Attorney General has given us the information. We'll bring that to you in a jiffy. But let's go back to the EOCO premises. The events of the past few days have cast a dark shadow on the state of our democracy. That's according to the NPP Minority Caucus in Parliament. Speaking after a sit-down protest in front of the offices of EOCO, the Minority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompre, described the treatment of the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Ayisha, as a national disgrace.
In a dramatic display of political protest, members of Parliament from the Minority Caucus staged a sit-in outside the headquarters of the Economic and Organised Crime Office in Accra on Thursday, May 29, to demand the release of Bernard Ayisha, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. The protest, marked by chants and calls for justice, brought traffic to a standstill and drew heavy police presence as security personnel attempted to maintain order. The minority MPs, led by Minority Leader Alexander Pinyomakin, decried what they described as political persecution and the weaponization of state institutions against political opponents.
The events of the past few days have cast a dark and chilling shadow over the states of our democracy. What happened to Mr. Bernard Ayisha, known as Chairman Wontumi, is nothing short of a national disgrace. It is a stain on our conscience and a threat to every citizen who still believes that Ghana is a land governed by laws, not political vendettas. We are not here to shield wrongdoing, but we are here because a line has been crossed. A dangerous, unacceptable line that signals that state of power can now be used to humiliate, traumatize, and silence citizens under the pretext of justice. This was not an arrest. It was a clear ambush. It was a calculated display of brute force.
The sit-in comes in response to Wontumi's continued detention by EOCO after failing to meet the conditions of a 50 million cedi bail granted on Wednesday, May 28.
Have they looked at the constitution? They should vary the bail term. The man is unwell. He's in their custody. They know. So they should vary. Wontumi will not run anywhere. And I'm telling our friends in the NDC, 4 years will soon come. And if they think what they are doing is right, they should watch it. They should watch it. Treat others the way you expect them to do unto you.
Are you?
So if you keep Wontumi, is he using bail to punish him? We are here, we are protesting. We expect him to do the right thing. What has Wontumi done? Why are they?
Wontumi was arrested on Tuesday, May 27, following a summons by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. He's being investigated over alleged financial irregularities involving the Ghana Export-Import Bank as well as some mining activities. While EOCO has granted him bail, the conditions requiring two sureties to be justified have yet to be fully satisfied.
Right, so like we indicated, Ayisha, we have just some news coming in, and this is from the Office of the Attorney General. The Deputy Attorney General, Justice Ayisha Yakubu, has given us an idea of why the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Ayisha, is still in the grips of EOCO. So I'll just take you through the specifics of it. So Dr. Justice Ayisha, Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice, says suspect Bernard Ayisha, aka Chairman Wontumi, is under investigation for various criminal offences, including fraud, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering. He says the criminal investigation is running concurrently with asset recovery processes to prevent further dissipation of what law enforcement agencies strongly suspect to be proceeds of crime. The suspect is also under a second strand of investigation, which is part of a larger international organized crime scheme. And in conclusion, he says the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, is working with international law enforcement partners on this second strand of investigation. So basically, if you are part of the many who are wondering why Chairman Wontumi is still with EOCO, well, a government advisors, or who are those supposed to lead government when it comes to law issues, are telling us why Chairman Wontumi is still being investigated. He says he is he's been investigated for fraud, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering, plus is likely to be part of a larger international crime scheme, for which reason he's being investigated. So many of that and more will be discussed in subsequent bulletins, but we'll try and get further perspectives on this for you.
Right, Martin. Let's now have the perspective of Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Dramani, on the minority walkout and the threat not to participate in future proceedings if Chairman Wontumi isn't released. Doc, good evening to you and thank you for joining us on News 360. First of all, what do you make of the minorities walkout earlier today, and how would you say that could possibly affect proceedings in the House of Legislature?
Yes, so in terms of what I make of the walkout, I would have thought that maybe the discussion should center around whether EOCO, or for that matter, any other security agency of our state, has gone outside of its mandate. And if indeed it has gone outside of its mandate, I think there are parliamentary processes to get such bodies to show up before the House to answer questions as to why the laws made by Parliament are being disrespected. I'm not a student of law, so I don't know whether EOCO broke any law. And if EOCO did not break any law, then I would have thought that the minority would stay in the House and make its arguments from the floor of the House. In terms of, the effect of their absence from the House, we are not in the 8th Parliament. So in real terms, the numbers that they carry will not make very much of a difference in terms of getting quorum, in terms of getting the House to be properly constituted to do business. However, we are in a two-party democracy, and at all times, we want whatever decisions are being taken in the House to be one that involves the two sides. So that is a dent. And the other aspect of it is, the image that this sends to the outside world about the nature of our democracy. Perhaps there might be the perceptions that there's space for dissent, space for, expressing different opinions. That space is shrinking in our republic. So these might be some of the general kind of thoughts that come to my mind when I watch the events of today.
So, Doc, how would you expect that all of these issues are handled so that our business in Parliament are not affected?
Well, at the end of the, I think over the years we have seen when these walkouts happen and these disagreements happen, no matter how long they last, in the end, it comes down to some conversation amongst the leaders to try and find a way to resolve these differences, and then they can sit together and continue the business of our country. So dialogue for me, I think, is key. The leadership of the minority could engage the leadership of the majority. And I think over the years, even when situations are very difficult, they've been able to find ways to come to some compromise, even if it is not one that gives everybody 100% of what they want. But they've always managed to come to some compromise and work together.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. Dr. Rashid Dramani is Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs.
The second accused in the Office of the Special Prosecutor corruption case against Charles Bisu, Andy Thomas Owusu, has applied for a plea bargain, and prosecutors have disclosed to the High Court. On Thursday, prosecutors from the OSP prayed for more time to finalize negotiations and disclosures. Lord Edwasare was in court and reports.
Andy Thomas Owusu and Charles Bisu have been charged with 15 counts of multiple offences involving the abuse of office, corruption, and efforts to undermine lawful mining regulations. Charles Bisu is facing 9 counts of offences comprising of abuse of public office and corruption by a public officer, while Andy Owusu has been charged with 6 counts of offences, including abetting and corruption of a public officer. According to the facts of the case by the prosecution, Bisu received 35,000 Ghana cedis from one Benjamin Ejapon for the purpose of circumventing established requirements of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining under its roadmap for lifting of ban on artisanal and small-scale mining. He is alleged to have ignored laid-down procedures in respect of verifications of documents, acquisition of relevant permits, demarcation and mapping of concessions, among others, to unlawfully secure a fast-track renewal of an expired mining license to ORR Resources Enterprise without valid documentation. Andy Thomas Owusu, on the other hand, is accused of receiving 15,000 Ghana cedis from the same Benjamin Ejapon for the purpose of unduly influencing Bisu in respect of the discharge of his duties as the secretary of the IMCIM to circumvent the renewal of license processes. On Thursday, however, prosecution prayed for more time to file their disclosures and finalize the negotiations with the second accused, Andy Thomas Owusu, after revealing to the court that the second accused had applied for a plea bargain from the prosecution. The case has since been adjourned to June 4. Lord Accra.
And now, the Sakumo Ramsar site, a legally protected wetland crucial for biodiversity and climate protection, continues to face massive encroachment with more than half of its core zone already developed. Recent demolition exercise by city authorities have raised eyebrows, but are bulldozers the only solution? Deborah Bamens visited the site and spoke to engineers, officials, and experts to understand the roots of the crisis and what can still be done.
For years, the Sakuma Ramsar site, a protected wetland spanning 13.6 square kilometers, has suffered steady encroachment. Now, 8.32 hectares of its core zone, meant to be untouched, have been overtaken. More than half of the designated protection area gone.
It's not that we are wicked, my dear, but we want to. These are reserve sites, like we say, for species. And so God in his own wisdom, left this place for us, and so that it can accommodate this easy flow of water when it rains. So only thing we can tell our stakeholders, everybody, the chiefs involved, everybody, that we are only pleading for them to reserve the sites for us.
With little enforcement and rising demand for land, developers moved in undeterred by zoning laws or environmental warnings. For the engineers overseeing the site, it's been a dangerous and frustrating task.
The challenge we face is that anytime we are here, we are confronted by recalcitrant langurs who always chase us out. Unfortunately, we are not having any weapons or anything that will protect us. There are situations where we come around and the developer will call somebody and the person will say ACP Alasan from police headquarters, and the police will have to go back with us and tell us they can't guarantee our presence here.
Individuals affected continue to count their losses. But critics say these demolition exercises may be too little, too late, and could have been avoided.
Accra may start to get maybe flooded when there's no maybe rainfall or this the minute of precipitation. Means that from the uphill, like Abukubi, like Weja, like Mikado Hills, like Pukwase, Brekusu area, when the water is supposed to come down and be received by the reservoirs or the basins, all the basins have been occupied by buildings. First of all, by filling the basins with laterite or boulders of material, and then by putting up construction on them. It means that we are reducing the area where water would have occupied.
Indeed, the National Disaster Management Organization, which coordinates emergency responses, warns of dire consequences if encroachment continues.
If these Ramsar sites are encroached upon, the repercussions that comes with it. What it means is that water will not find its way into where it's supposed to be. And so it will stray into where it shouldn't be, people's homes, and destroy property and sometimes lives.
Experts say protecting the Ramsar site demands more than bulldozers.
After those demolitions are done, what is next is that the Assembly have to use their National Building Regulation LI 2465 and the LAPSA, the Land Use and Special Planning Act at 2016 at 925 fully. When those laws are fully executed, I'm very sure that we will be able to overcome these unscrupulous or encroachers who go to the wetlands, which are beneficial to you and I.
For now, the Sakuma Ramsar site stands partly wounded but not entirely lost. The challenge is not just reclaiming land, but restoring trust in the systems meant to protect it.
In more news tonight, the Minister for Labour, Employment and Jobs, Dr. Rashid Pelpu, is urging the Nurses and Midwives Association to hold off on plans to strike and return to the negotiation table. Speaking exclusively to Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku, Dr. Rashid Pelpu warned that a strike at this time could put lives at risk and further strain Ghana's health sector. But the association's president, Perpetual Oforiampofo, insists that any decision to suspend the strike will depend on government action, especially the full implementation of their conditions of service.
It's been nearly 24 hours since the leadership of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association announced plans to withdraw their services starting next week. The announcement has created widespread concern, particularly within the health sector, where disruptions could have serious consequences. In a statement, the Minister of Health, Dr. Rashid Pelpu, has urged the association to reconsider its decision and return to the negotiation table. But with no sign of compliance, the Ministry of Labour, Employment and Jobs has stepped in to mediate. Labour Minister Dr. Rashid Pelpu has expressed deep concern over the looming strike.
When we embark on a strike, it has a total effect on society. In whatever sector you belong, it has a direct effect on society. It has a direct effect on our development. So it means that employers, stakeholders must always work together to come to conclusions where there is no need for a strike.
He is calling on the leadership to allow room for negotiations to continue in good faith.
Eventually, government must listen to them. The health authorities must listen to them. If it is something that is going to bring peace to society.
However, the president of the Nurses and Midwives Association, Perpetual Oforiampofo, maintains that the government must implement the agreed conditions of service regardless of ongoing calls for dialogue.
All statements will come and it is up for consideration. But I'm saying the bottom line is we are asking for what is just and fair. We are asking for what is duly ours, which has been delayed unduly in terms of its implementation. somebody should speak for us. Somebody should act.
The association's decision has drawn criticism from some groups within the health sector, but the leadership insists their stance represents the collective interests of all nurses and midwives.
I don't think that if anybody was in our shoes, you sit as a leader and you have a lot of agitations happening to the extent that you have even your specialized societies, some threatening issues, with issues here and there, you just also sit aloof and allow things to happen. The accusations of leadership being in bed with the current government and doing one thing or the other as if we are serving our own purpose, which is not the case.
We also asked whether the planned strike must be politically motivated or an attempt to undermine the government's image.
We, as a council of the association, I can tell you, in my council, I have die-hard MPP faithfuls. I have die-hard NDC faithfuls. I have lawyers. I have reverends. I have all sorts of people within the council.
Meanwhile, government is set to begin payment of nursing trainee allowances and arrears from January 2026. Despite a strong push not to pay trainee allowances in the NDC's lead-up campaign, the government made a U-turn when it presented its first fiscal policy document in March. At a thank-you tour in the Bono East region, President John Dramani Mahama says government remains committed to its assurances. Presidential correspondent Komla Kluchi has filed this report.
With the gains and the city's appreciation, the president showed gratitude, urging more as the push continues.
I want to take the opportunity to thank the GPRTU and the various drivers' unions for reducing transport fares to bring relief to Ghanaians from the hardship they were facing.
As an agrarian region with a focus of government on industrializing the produce, the president says the plans to add value to cashew and other tree crops remains a priority, with rapid development in the implementation of the big push to open up the region.
As stated in the NDC 2024 manifesto, we're also committed to redesigning and constructing outer ring roads in major cities across the country. The outer ring roads will target cities like Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, Takrade, Sunyani, and Techiman. For Techiman, which is a major transit point on the N10 highway, work has begun to open up the proposed 54-kilometer outer ring road. The Department of Urban Roads has initiated engineering surveys and design works to prepare the way for full construction to begin.
Even as he was welcomed to the Kintampo Nursing Training College by students and their reminder of allowances, the president gave them hope.
Let me assure you that the minister has made adequate provision in the budget for the payment of allowances, and the allowances will be paid from January, and so you'll get the arrears. When we pay the allowances, you'll receive the arrears. What has delayed it is that the minister is putting in a system so that you'll be paid through the controller and accountant general, so that every month when workers receive their salaries, trainees will also receive their allowances. So when that is done, you receive your allowances every month, and then we'll pay you the arrears from January until the time you started receiving the allowances.
The president will not mince words on holding the MMDCs strictly to their KPIs.
The Minister of Finance is about to release the first quarter of the District Assembly's Common Fund. And as I said, and the Minister said, 80% of the money accruing in the fund is going to go directly to the regions for you to decide how to use it. So MMDCs, you have no excuse. You are going to get your full money. We're sending you the guidelines. Cabinet approved it at the last cabinet meeting to show you how the money has to be disbursed. And we're going to use it as your key performance indicators. Every year, we will see what you've done with the District Assembly's Common Fund, and based on that, we'll decide whether you stay or you go.
To some more stories this evening, Ghanaians expect cost of free senior high school to be shared between parents and government according to a latest finding on citizens' expectation of the new government by the Center for Democratic Development, Ghana. Per the 1,331 participants involved, the progress of the educational policy continues to be a threat if financing is limited to only government.
The 14 town halls were held in 12 administrative regions of Ghana and targeted groups or individuals for the engagement using purposive sampling approach. Participants included civil society organizations, members of the media, traditional leaders, youth groups, along with local district assembly officials from each region. Per the findings, Ghanaians are concerned about the financing for the free SHS policy, calling for cost sharing. On constitutional reforms, Ghanaians advocated for the abolition of the Council of State due to its purely advisory role and lack of impact on governance. Ghanaians are highly concerned about members of parliament who are also ministers and tend to focus more on government work, which weakens parliament's ability to check their actions.
Everybody believes that it has to be reformed, and even that we have to think about cost sharing, because and it's related to the other issue about basic education, because people feel that we're putting all our eggs in one basket and you cannot build any education system that way. So we really need to look at the financing of free SHS and look also at basic school. But they feel like parents should be able to take some of the costs. And the elderly, the special, for which also raise issues about pension schemes and current arrangement, even for healthcare. Because NHIS doesn't seem to cover some of the illnesses of old people, even transport, accessibility, all of those things. PWDs, raise issues about what percentage goes to local for them and all of that.
Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of administration, Nanaoye Bampo Ado, said the findings resonate with the NDC's reset agenda.
The findings spoke to issues with implementation of free SHS and the need to review free SHS. So these really resonate and fall in place in terms of the proposals also that NDC has. So as a listening government, we are going to take the recommendations on board and we will have further engagements.
The findings further reveal that the current 4-year presidential term be maintained with a maximum of 2 terms to ensure electoral accountability.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. Business, sports, entertainment are coming right up.
For staying with us, Michael is here with some business news. Michael, you have something on postal and courier services?
Yes, you may go to jail if you engage in courier services without a license.
Wow.
Yeah, it's getting that strict.
Give us the details.
Sure thing. Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, Ghana's delivery industry is facing a regulatory shake-up as the Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission warns that individuals and businesses operating without a valid license could face prosecution, including possible jail time.
The warning comes amid a rapid expansion of Ghana's e-commerce and courier sectors, with thousands of dispatch riders now providing delivery services daily across cities. A large proportion of these operators are unlicensed, posing safety risks to consumers and undermining efforts to sanitize the sector. According to the Commission, an amendment of Act 649 is currently underway to expand its regulatory scope. For the first time, the revised law will cover e-commerce-based delivery operators, ensuring that all players, both traditional couriers and modern dispatch services, are held to the same legal standards.
Whether you think you are a kind of person, you have your firm, you are a very big player, you need to come on board. First of all, get certified by the Commission. Get your license. Know the class and the category in which you are. And then make sure that you comply by the license conditions that you are giving them.
The Commission is currently holding stakeholder engagements on the legislation and insists that operators who flout the law by running without a license could face stiff penalties, including hefty fines or jail terms.
There are sanctions legally, penalty points that you suffer. There are court, periods that you serve, or both are, served on you. So you go to court, either you are fined or you are asked to go to court and you are still fined at the same time. You lose your clients because when the Commission intercepts what you are doing, which is illegal, it affects you. And the trust that you need to get from your clients is lost. And that's business being lost on you.
The Ministry of Energy and Green Transition has announced that Tullow Ghana Limited and its Jubilee partners are restarting drilling operations in the Jubilee field, and as well as ENI Ghana and its offshore Cape 3 Point partners in the OCTP fields. This follows approval of the two drilling programs by the Ministry and the Petroleum Commission, signaling renewed investor confidence in Ghana's upstream petroleum sector. This new campaign by ENI, together with the recently commenced drilling activity by Jubilee partners, will sustain oil production and enhance operational efficiencies in the two fields. Drilling and completion of the well is expected to span 60 days within initial production, averaging 2,800 barrels of oil per day in Q3 2025 and ramping up to 4,500 barrels of oil per day in 2026. Now, a seasoned economist and development banker from Mauritania, Dr. Sidi Ould Tah, has been elected president of the African Development Bank, AfDB, becoming the 9th to lead the bank. He secured 68.42% of regional members' votes and 48.41% of total votes cast, emerging as the candidate to lead Africa's premier development finance institution. Dr. Tah will assume office on September 1, 2025 for a 5-year term, succeeding Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. Dr. Sidi Ould Tah's election is seen as a pivotal moment for the AfDB, with expectations that he will focus on Arab-African financial cooperation, infrastructure development, and growth on the continent. His leadership will be crucial in addressing Africa's development challenges, including debt and climate resilience. Now, away from that, the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana has affirmed its commitment to help the Gold Board combat gold smuggling. Executive Secretary of the association indicated that the association is prepared to collaborate with freight forwarders to monitor and prevent gold smuggling at all exit points, thereby safeguarding Ghana's economic interests.
Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana has pledged to support the Ghana Gold Board in its effort to curb gold smuggling and protect the country's economic gains. Executive Secretary Samson Asaki Awingobit made the commitment during an engagement with Ghana Gold Board boss, recognizing the significant revenue losses due to illegal gold exports. The board was established to regulate the gold trade, and the association's support will help strengthen its efforts.
It is also incumbent on us to also protect our country by making sure that wherever our officers are, they should monitor and see those who want to rip the country out of its important precious mineral. We and our collaborators, the freight forwarders and others are everywhere. We will relay this information to them so that anytime they are processing someone's cargo for export, they should be able to have a knowledge, what is it at all? If it is gold, then they should alert the gold board whether, are you aware?
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Sami Jemfi, encouraged members of the association to explore opportunities in the gold business and diversify their operations.
We want to even encourage more of your members to think about investing in the fabrication aspect, value addition. Yeah, because President Mahama has given me instructions to ensure that Ghana has a gold souk in the nature of the gold souk in Dubai. We'll do our own customized version, which we call the Gold Village. And this will be private-owned jewelry, world-class jewelry companies, all located in a certain area, like a big mall.
Economist Professor Peter Korte has cautioned government against returning to the capital market, citing the high interest rates as a result of Ghana's current junk credit ranking rating status. Instead, he advised government to maintain its current economic trajectory until the country's debt ratings improve.
Peter of Ise highlighted the risks associated with Ghana's current credit rating of CCC+, a high-risk, non-investment grade category, according to rating agency S&P. This rating, he argues, could lead to high interest rates if government returns to the capital market. While President John Mahama has announced plans to reopen domestic and international capital markets, Professor Peter Korte believes the country needs more time to improve its creditworthiness.
Let's do the good things we are doing, and now we are seeing signs the economy is picking up. Exchange rate depreciation and macro stability issues are all picking up gradually. Let's make sure we get to a certain level where the international community will see us favorably, investor community will see us favorably. Then when we go to borrow, we'll borrow at reasonable interest rates. So that's my caution. Government has a great agenda, the big push agenda. It needs money, but we shouldn't rush to borrow at very punitive interest rates.
Meanwhile, Presidential Advisor on the Economy, Seth Tepe, assessed that measures are in place to ensure smooth loan repayment.
Yeah, we need to be cautious. But we must also remember that going to the capital market, as I was explaining, and losing concessional financing and grants also mean that we could borrow for longer periods, 10 years. But with such borrowing, right, we should channel it towards projects that can pay for the loan, right, self-financing. Or we should put some money aside, if it's social infrastructure and the rest, so that we can develop.
The Graphic EcoBank Economic Forum was themed Deconstructing and Reconstructing the Economy of Ghana, Sustainable Revenue Mobilization Options and Effective Fiscal Discipline in Focus.
We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market. And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next is sports.
Welcome back to News 360. Time now for sports, and the Black Stars nearly won yesterday against Nigeria. Is it nearly won? Yes. Bill is here with details. What's up, Bill?
But there was one guy, I believe you saw him, a 19-year-old, has locks and all of that. He was playing fantastic within 45 minutes, and we caught up with him right after. Okay. And we have the details on that.
Let's hear him.
All right, let's begin from the camp of the Black Stars. Despite losing 2-1 to Nigeria in the Unity Cup on Wednesday, there were some positives from the team. One main positive was Caleb Yirenchi, a debutant who drew plaudits from fans on social media after a second-half showing as a makeshift right back. The midfielder, in his interview with Free Sports, expressed his joy after making that debut.
I think it was a good opportunity for me to help and then do my best and give my best to the team. That was basically the main goal. Yeah, I think it was fine. I had a lot of praise. I think it's just we keep going and then no, it's not something I really think about. I always take it step by step and then do my best in trainings, in games, and then also off the field. Yeah, do my best and then think. Yeah, I don't really look much forward. I just take it day by day. Yeah, do my best at any given time and then think.
Now, following the conclusion of the European season, a number of clubs have made significant moves to sign players to bolster their squads ahead of next season. Now, 6-time Champions League winners Bayern Munich have been busy in the market, and Chelsea are edging ever closer to signing a new striker. Here's a wrap of the key happenings in the transfer market.
Them on a free transfer from Bayer Leverkusen. The German international has signed a 4-year contract with the Bundesliga champions. Chelsea are leading the race to sign Ipswich striker Liam Delap after other Premier League clubs were made aware of his preference to move to Stamford Bridge. Manchester United, Everton, Newcastle and Nottingham Forest were among the clubs who have shown a serious interest in Delap, who has a £30 million release clause, while Manchester City also hold a buyback option. Napoli have reportedly offered Antonio Conte an improved salary with the intention of keeping him at the club. Conte, who won the Scudetto with the club, is rumoured to be unhappy and has been seeking an exit in the last few days. AC Milan are closing in on bringing back Massimiliano Allegri as head coach. Allegri won the Scudetto in 2011 during his first stint with the 7-time Champions League winners.
Now, the top seed Yannick Sinner eased past French veteran Richard Gasquet in straight sets on Thursday to move into the third round at the French Open and send his opponent into retirement. Now, Sinner won 6-3, 6-0, 6-4 in 91 minutes to set up a meeting with Jiri Lehechka. Now, before the match, Gasquet admitted that playing the world #1 on centre court in his 22nd French Open at the Roland Garros Stadium would be a fitting way to end his career. He played over 1,000 matches during a career that began in 2002, and this was his 22nd participation at the French Open. Now that's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen. Entertainment is up next.
In entertainment news this evening, the Perfect Match Extra turned up the heat this week as the housemates hit the floor to show off their fiercest dance moves for the Thursday live show. But it wasn't just about the rhythm. Blanco and Naya stole the spotlight and walked away with the title of Best Dance Couple.
All 7 couples, one after the other, brought the energy, the drama and the moves to impress the judges in this week's Dance Showdown Challenge. From synchronized spins to unexpected splits, the housemates weren't holding back. Couple after couple hit the floor with their own unique take. Some going for high-energy choreography, others delivering unexpected creative twists. But when it came down to showmanship, style, and pure chemistry, it was Blanco and Naya who stole the spotlight. From their flawless footwork to a dramatic lift, they danced their way into the hearts and snatched the title of the best dance couple of the night.
So amongst these two, we know that one is a first and one is a second. And again, the difference is just 1 mark. For the Thursday task, we have... So when I mention a second, you know who's first, right? Okay. Give it up for second place, Irama and Ja! And that makes Blanco and Naya the winners.
Everything I do, everything I do, everywhere I go.
Yeah, the guy dances just like me. Right. Well, in more entertainment news, BET Awards 2025 will honor Mariah Carey, Jamie Foxx, Kirk Franklin, and Snoop Dogg with the Ultimate Icon Award for their decades of influential work in music, entertainment, and community impact. The show, hosted by Kevin Hart, will air live on Tuesday, June 10 on BET. So if you want details of that, you can get it on our website, freenews.com. Let's find out what's happening in the international front.
A cholera outbreak in Sudan's Khartoum has killed at least 70 people in 2 days, local health authorities said. The health ministry in Khartoum state reported on Thursday 942 new infections and 25 deaths the previous day, following 1,177 cases and 45 deaths the day before. The outbreak is centered around the capital city, Khartoum, which has been devastated by more than 2 years of war between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces RSF. The city lost access to water and electricity earlier this month following drone attacks blamed on the RSF. The army-backed government announced last week that it had dislodged RSF fighters from their last bases in Khartoum state, 2 months after retaking the heart of the capital from the paramilitaries. Israeli.
And that's it for our package. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Aseidu Dartey.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. Have a good evening.